Good morning.
It's Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hey,
Sure,
how are you?
Good.
The audio sounds good so far.
Yeah, you can go ahead and get started. It looks like a small group. Maybe people will trickle in. Okay. Wilhelm, Court Daly, B. White, Edmund, Janine Coleman, Joe Astor, Sharp, Ken Dickerson, Kevin D. Mine,
Here.
Mecker, Moni Ramirez, Willis, Bard, Will Emerson, and then some county we have Vaughn and Sarah, and Amanda, and then Alex Spellman's on the phone as well. Thank you. All right, so I still went out with the agenda. So Normal is not here this morning, but she'll be back for the other two meetings later this afternoon. So I will go ahead and get started. We're going to recap last meeting, talk updates and next steps. So at our last meeting, and we're going to the board on August 7th, 2018 for a report out. And part of that, we're going to have individual reports from the working group to talk about accomplishments and recommendations. So I want to recap July 12th and go over the highlights we want to include in the report. The last meeting, the group agreed that they want as close to one system as possible. The group wants to keep track and trace fees low. And then the last question is the policy question. If there is any discrepancy between the SICA metric system and metric, is there a penalty at the county level, and how will that be resolved? I don't have an answer to that question yet. We haven't decided that yet. But two recommendations.
Yeah, so the question that's still I'm asking and haven't gotten back on this is, what information has the county gotten from the track and trace system since the track?
Tons.
Well,
pretty much we have 200, maybe 200 people on the system, and so we can run reports on people's virtual farm, get an idea of what they're doing, and hopefully long-term we can see trends. They're working on building kind of a dashboard for us, and they're working on that with Yolo County too, now that there's actually some data coming in to be able to hopefully show us some trends. So I will see if maybe we can have a meeting a few months from now, maybe a demo.
Yeah.
well, you know, it's really important that if we're going to the board, and I'm pretty clear on my position, is that I would, you know, my point is that we haven't really been able to show the board what data we're getting. I mean, it's nice to say we're getting trends, but what specifically can we put? Is there something that the board can be told of what we're getting out of this system?
And this is Diana from SICLA. You know, a lot of data that's available in the system. It's a matter of what data are you consuming on a regular basis, and what data is the most important to you. Because we are absolutely able to provide you, all the data for activations, for harvests, for production, sections, transfers, and all of that for in the system currently. I think the question is what's important for you to make sure you're operating a long-term, cannabis program.
What I'm saying is, I know that the state system isn't online, and they're online to bearing up for the first year, getting testing labs in first. just wanted, from my perspective and a lot of the cultivators who are actually in the program, it's that I've got several notes at the appropriate time I'll present from cultivators. And one point, Diana, at the last meeting, I guess Jonathan Feldman was listening to our call, who's the legal advocate for the California Police Chief Association. Were you aware of his remarks down in San Diego?
No.
Well, you mentioned at the last working group that you were looking forward to having an app that would roll out for all police agencies to be able to use. And Jonathan actually stated that Metric has built in and already demonstrated to the Police Chiefs Association to be able, through their regular car system, to access transfer manifest to verify those already is coming in the system.
Okay.
So I'll go in, so one of the things that people were seeing is the customer, see, there were a couple of comments here that were kind of relevant. It says, it's not working, it's a one-way system, it doesn't make any sense, it's totally bad.
Other phones you spoke to.
Oh, okay. So this isn't the last meeting.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, so the website is slow. Each button click takes 3 to 5 minutes between each tag upload. My internet works fine for everything else. This is so annoying. It took me literally 6 hours to enter 28 tags. I emailed them and they sent me a list of tips, including everything I was doing and trying. Another comment was, I've been calling repeatedly about different issues, login problems, locations being unavailable. I've yet to have a long-term permanent solution to any of these issues. And that's kind of a reflective of the number of 20 or 30 comments I've gotten from people who are using the system. And it's a real frustration as people are getting their annual license applications going in and being more and more involved with the state, are really concerned about the two systems as was.
So Ron, let me address the comment about it taking a long time between button clicks. So we are currently rolling out our upgraded system, and that so what used to take a minute is now taking seconds. I've already rolled to some of our biggest operators, and that's the transfer functionality. The biggest operators are using our new transfer UI, and a great success with them. We had an issue a few weeks ago regarding activations taking a long period of time, and that issue has been resolved, and they're now taking literally just seconds. So I do hear what you're saying. We heard the same feedback, and so we addressed that feedback, and we've corrected it. So in the next 2 weeks, in the next 2 weeks, we will be rolling that transfer function out to all of our cultivators.
And when we send this final working group recommendation to the board, are we going to be including comments from people who are using it? Are we going to be stating how this is going to conflict with the state, how the county does it, and how the state, I don't know if that goes to the ad hoc, if that's a local issue, but is the board going to get a full presentation of those involved in the system as well as the county's approach?
We have 60 minutes to do the working group presentation. That includes all 3 working groups and an update from planning and building on the overlay process. So I have it's not in front of you guys because I just printed it out, and it just has some overview of accomplishments and some recommendations. The recommendations that I have on the last meeting was recommend having as close to one system as possible, recommend keeping track and trace fees low, recommend that 1 or 2 people from each working group participate on the ad hoc, recommend taking a 2-month meeting break and resuming meetings in November, allowing other working groups to utilize the track and trace meeting time slot. Those are the 4 recommendations. So one system, fees low, 2 people to work with ad hoc, and take a 2-month break. Those are the recommendations. Now, we do, and what we need to decide today is 2 representatives from Track and Trace to speak, to present to the board. You can bring up your concerns, but I will say it needs to be more than 3 minutes. But, you know, I kind of want to keep each working group to about 15 minutes so we can actually get through all 4 of them within the time period and allow the board to have question and answers with the 4 different presentations. So that's what I have on recommendations. We can add some if you want to. We can keep it as is. Definitely need to pick 2 people from the working group to present, and we want to make sure that each, you know, it's not too long-winded for each one, so we can make sure that we get an update on all.
I think in notes it says the group agreed they only want 1 system, not as close to 1 system as possible.
Yes, as well, Emerson. I'm thinking a lot about this system as possible. That I don't think that is really good enough and does not reflect the cultivators. The cultivators want 1 system only, and it should really be the state system opinion. So I don't think we're, as a working group, that we're totally in agreement with those recommendations.
We want to change it to say recommend having 1 system.
Yes.
Yeah, I would. That's how I feel.
Like I said, this is Marty, by the way. Like the last meeting, I had a chance to speak to people as well. I didn't get anything written down. I didn't go to Facebook to get responses from people. But I was the one that kind of maybe helped some of that language come out. Like I said, if SIGPA could show their value, then farmers that I spoke to would consider it. The prices were a little lower too, but I think overall there's nothing of value to show, so it's hard to offer just the 1 system. Now, obviously, that would be the easiest thing to say. Let's just have 1 system.
Okay.
But I've seen the work that they do. They're a $1 billion company. They could help cannabis in Mendocino. Shows how.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I'm not trying to, you know, make any waves. It's just really how I feel about it. I believe Mendocino has a chance to brand itself really well, and with SIGPA helping by providing information on small farms comparatively to these ridiculous Santa Barbara things is going to help us in the long run. I don't know if you understand kind of what I'm saying.
I do. I think we should have it as then recommend having 1 system, and then when the recommendation later on was that Marty and Ron be the presenters, so we agree on that, you guys then will have an opportunity to talk more in depth about the four recommendations.
That makes sense.
I have a question for Diana. Last time you had spoken about what Marty was speaking to, we'd asked for some examples, and I think you were using a tobacco farm that you work with as the subject matter to be able to show us exactly what Marty's talking about, the way in which, you know, you guys have successfully done this for others. Do we see those examples or actually take a look at and talk about?
If you guys would like for us to into that, you know, and you're talking about that BI thing and the report that I'm showing you at the end of the meeting last time.
Yes.
We were thinking if we could walk through a real life example of how there's a company that worked with your group and there was a striking difference from before and after. We're a juxtaposition so that we can get these people on board, essentially.
There's also, this is more, there's definitely, like when I've communicated with people recently, there's a lot of people that aren't, again, we might have 215 people in it. I don't know how many of those people are actually doing something, because I know a good portion of them are hearing from the that the system is gone and we're going to get rid of it, and that's kind of the focus. So some people haven't even gone to their training. I don't know if you have an exact number of how many of the 215 actually gone, but I've heard people that, oh, I haven't done anything. And I'm like, man, if you're not doing anything, you should at least take notes on the seeds when you planted them and how many you have females and the rows and all, because I don't know what's going to happen, you know. So that's kind of what I've told people, like, don't assume that it's going to be one system. Be prepared to take it in training if you need it. And that was another question, if I could segue. Do you have anything planned in August? Two people actually asked me that, like if you need some trainings for August.
We're looking at August 22nd and 29th, so we're finalizing the location.
Okay.
So I'll be in communication with Cliff, who's one of our reps, and he'll be sent out once we have the location finalized.
Okay. That should go out on Mendo Canna Action too. There's a group on Facebook that has been probably one of the better communication sites with farmers specifically, not just Ron and Casey, but there's a large contingent of people that actually go there for information and ask questions to people like Ron and Casey for that reason. And two people specifically that I spoke to were like, I need to go to another training to just kind of refresh myself. So, you know, and again, I still go.
And to follow up on Marty, there are 661 members of the page, and it would be interesting to know, because I know as Marty said, there are a lot of people who have their licenses, but out of that 220, how many people are actually reporting into the system? That would be good for the board, just like we do with the cannabis update of how many licensed farmers do we have, how many farmers are actually, as of today, or by the time we go to the board, actually inputting data into the system.
Yeah, they're able to get that information. That makes sense.
I can provide that statistic for you.
All right. We'll go to the updates, and then we'll come back and then talk about the presentation. So with the updates, Diana, do you have any update or comments to make regarding integration?
We have already accomplished all of the integration that we can at this point. Rick has not finalized API. So until they can support the processes that the state has regulated, they're only able to, to the things that they have available to us. So it means like right now, the concept of batching or tagging is not available API. They expect it to come out any day now. We're ready for it. So as soon as we release it, we can go hook into that. We are starting to roll out all the code changes that we have that have been tested for the metric integration. So as first operators come online, we'll be ready for them. And then in regards to our own system upgrade, we are expecting to move all of the operators to the new transfer function in the next 2 weeks. And this, like I said earlier, this new function is much faster, user friendly. So to date has liked it quite, and we've gotten a lot of good feedback from them, been able to incorporate that as well. Much trying to focus on the experience of the user when they're in, and so that's as we finish this one, we'll be starting activation next for the system. So we're going to see a lot of change over the next few months as regards to our user interface, usability, customer experience, and speed.
Okay. And so, Sarah, on that, are we still at the county level in conflict with how the state is doing track and trace, as far as the state is requiring each plant and the county is requiring an area?
Oh, yeah, we don't require individual plant tagging. I don't think that we will go back to that.
Okay.
I mean, make you do it twice.
Accommodate you guys on that.
Oh, I think that was the statement of the day.
We, just so you guys
And
know,
are we
we put our integration to metrics specifically for Mendo to ensure that you could do a tag on every plant, although you still do have to do the piece.
All right. Any other updates?
No big ones for us.
I think it might be a short meeting, but I think we should go just to next steps and talk a little bit about the board meeting next Tuesday. So the board meeting is next Tuesday. I believe that the cannabis items, per usual, will be in the afternoon, so I would expect the start session at 1:30 in the afternoon. So be prepared for that. Like I said, we have this report in front of you, and we'll make the changes to the first recommendation. So two things I wanted to get confirmation on is Marty, Ron, are you guys comfortable being the member to report out? And so being, I think at the last meeting, representatives, should the board take the recommendation to meet one-on-one with each ad hoc being the rep?
Yeah, I am.
I made it into the notes last time.
As long as it's spelled right next time. My wife said I could be involved.
Did we spell it wrong?
Yeah, it's actually a C. It's Lithuanian.
Oh.
Most people spell it K-L-I-N-E, but it's actually C-L-A-N. We will. It's the hardest thing I've ever dealt with my whole life. But here's the interesting part. Anybody that actually spells their name C-L-E-I-N is a cousin. You know, a lot of C-L-I-N-Es are cousins or K-L-E-I-Ns or whatever.
I feel your pain. Everyone calls me Duckett my whole life, and there's no C in my last name.
So what's your spelling?
It's C-L-E-I-N.
That?
C-L-E-I-N. Lithuanian.
Okay.
Whatever that means.
We'll have Marty sign with a C. And then
I'd be privileged to help out for sure.
Ron Edwards.
I want to say that first house that burned in Covelo, I got pictures from it. Do you know Dave Meisky? He's the house is gone, the library is gone, his storage is gone. That whole garden up top, what he called the mothership, was 158 foot by 8 foot, 2 foot high wooden boxes gone. I just saw the pictures, like giant ladders just melted into the ground, and
we need to make sure we. So I wonder if anyone in Hoplet had damage too.
I don't know, but there are 3 or 4 other farmers that I haven't even communicated with anybody else. I just know Dave's at the top, and the fire went like literally straight up. And it happened the same exact spot 7 years ago. Same exact. A car pulled over, engine blew up, right up to 4,500 foot within 7 or 10 minutes. They weren't able to grab anything.
Wow.
All the garden, 150.
That's devastating. That's so devastating.
Luckily he's in a position where he's going for 6 permits, so this was just his mothership, the big one of. So he's got 3 other gardens, thank God. But it's just terrible. He lost his house. He's fishing in Mexico, his wife's in Reno, and the phone call was this morning cleaning out because they just let him back in. And there was 3 or 4 other farms that I know of in that area. I just haven't heard anything, but it was huge.
Yeah.
0 to 60 and
there's a lot of vegetation up there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
A lot of that older brush that was burned 7 years ago wasn't moved.
And totally burned. Yeah.
Right. It was a balance of some of it just went up. He said it was whatever. Anyway, when a metal ladder melts like that, it's freaking hot. 2,000.
Yeah, aluminum was 1,200 degrees.
So maybe just 1,400, 1,500. Like a dollar museum. Some of the pictures he took looked like a dollar museum. Like that. Just terrible.
No, we'll have to start. I'm sure the ag department's on top of it, and I think I talked to Herender about the next phase of evaluating all agricultural damages and cannabis from the recent fires.
See what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on it. We got
see a lot of
GIS map from the Valley one, reached out to a lot of those people already. I've only heard from a couple people up in Covelo, but we started working on Covelo too. So they're coming in, we're reaching out. We're primarily basing it off of the geographic boundary rather than their addresses or the APN, because then you end up contacting people who haven't been affected, and the goal isn't to create more.
No, they won't be in the.
I'm sure too that there's probably a lot of, if I had to guess, a lot of cattle damage in some of these areas, like livestock.
Oh, they were just they were just opening fences, letting them go.
Yeah.
Run from the heat is basically what the animal does. Oh, it's hot over there. Let me go this way. Oh yeah.
All right, so I
adopt a cat though.
Oh.
Good. Yeah. Maybe two.
Actually, it's the perfect time because, you know, we always end up having a lot of animals in the shelter after large disasters that never, like, their families never come back to pick them up. So we always have a lot of, and it's kind of kitten season, so, you know, why not have a kitten? So with that, I think we have everything set. So if you want, I can just go through the accomplishments really quick to see if you want to add anything. We already went over the recommendations. So just the accomplishments. We participated in a demo of the SIPCA product, provided feedback to SIPCA on local track and trace, provide feedback on county-state interaction, and maybe I should put county-state interaction concerns. And then provided feedback on support materials, but I'll add like support materials needed. But I'm trying to think was there any other big topics that we discussed over the past couple months that we should include in what kind of feedback we gave. And if not, we can.
All of our discussion was about the combination of marketing and track and trace, and how that's going to play out.
Trace and marketing. Okay, I will add that one.
If there's a value, basically, that's really what everybody I spoke to about it does seem. Those that are small farmers and want to stay in that and want to focus on that, there's a window here for Mendocino County as a whole to really bring themselves as the county that's staying small, you know, that wants the craft farmer, you know, that wants the small farmer, and we could say that truthfully. We're not just making it up. We could actually say it truthfully, which makes they could do something for us really important.
You know, and in reality. Good.
Go ahead.
In reality, I think that we could have, I actually just looked at the SICPA website and went to participants. And I have to say that July 1st would have been a great opportunity had that fold-down list have here are licensed Mendocino County farms that are producing clean products that people could have seen. But I think since last July 1st, we've lost a bit of that marketing opportunity.
Anything in business is balance between resources and help. And so I think for the farmers at this point, also for the distributors, it's like the burden of doing one more system far outweighs any benefit that they're seeing. And so that's why really we just one system. And some of the problems that are like small farmer has when you get into the distributors and the manufacturers, they're multiplied, and the transfers are already kind of a nightmare. And adding more layers it's really going to cause a huge expense and time and for anybody who's moving anything.
All right. So we'll add the discussion about track and trace and marketing to the list on top. And then on the recommendations where it says recommend to be ad hoc, we'll also include our recommendations of who those people will be. And then that will be finalized and published with the agenda item. It'll probably push out on Friday because we published today, so it'll probably get posted on.
And the ad hoc, this is the committee, is it two?
Yes, John McCowan and Dan Hamburg are the ad hoc members tasked with reviewing the cultivation ordinance. With that, then I haven't had this finalized, but what I'm thinking is for the presentation that we're just going to go in order of our normal meeting schedule. So track and trace followed by building use requirements, followed by the state requirements. Then we'll do a update from planning and building on the overlay working groups and where they are in that process. And then we'll have, finish the item with any questions the board they have.
Is there going to be a public discussion afterwards? Is there going to be time for that, for anybody else to put?
There's always public comment for, and it will depend. Sometimes the board will maybe do it after every working group. They might do it at the end of the item. But our idea is that our office will open an item, and then it will be the working group members that will speak for each one of the working groups. And then, they can ask us questions throughout, and then most likely public comment will probably be towards the end, but yes, everyone will have opportunity if they would like to do their 3 minutes. Yes?
Is it possible to suggest to the board that we break public comment out after each working group presentation? It's a very clear, so in other words, once we do track and trace, we do our presentation, we have public comment, we go to the next item. That way, I think it would make a little smoother presentation.
You can recommend that to the chair, and they can either not do that.
Got it.
The process of public comment is at the discretion of the chair, but yes, you can make that recommendation.
So that would have to be made.
And knowing him, he'll probably be open to that. It might make sense just depending on how much people are there.
Right. That would have to be made at 9 o'clock.
I would think.
Correct.
You can make it at 9 o'clock, or you can make it during your presentation.
Okay.
So 3 15-minute working group presentations and overlay update?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the full hour?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they're also the regular cannabis update? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
All the...
Not in the 60 minutes.
Yeah, not in the 60 minutes. And I'm not sure which one is going to go first, but we slate cannabis items in the afternoon.
Right.
So both the working group update and the cannabis update will be, and I don't have confirmation which one's going to be first yet. Closer to the item we will, but both of them will go back to back.
Okay.
I'm just not sure which one's going to be first.
Okay.
With that, that's all we have, the big things we needed to do today. Do you guys have any questions before we adjourn?
I don't think so.
Wonderful. So we're, like I said, we're going to finalize this, and then all of the reports from the 3 working groups will get published on the item on Friday.
Otherwise known as tomorrow.
Sometimes it's like, what day of the week is it?
Well, if the
And then
week
for
starts
most
with
of you,
T, it's cannabis.
most of you, I will see you the
Later.
next one.
Yeah. Yep.
See you at building requirements.
And did we set a date for our next meeting? You said 2 months?
November, so we're going to stick to our normal first Thursday of every month.
So it's the second?
So it would be,
The first?
okay.
Gives us good time. By then, everybody should be cut up, and
Yeah.
we should,
All right, guys, I am officially hanging up.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks.